Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Digital Innovation Talks. My name is Aleixo, and I will be your host for today. I am a project manager at INOVA, that is basically a Portuguese consultancy company that mainly supports innovation and promotes R&D projects and also access to finance. So this way, we are contributing to the growth and success of several organizations to which we work as partners or clients. INOVA is also the project coordinator of the AfriConEU project. So for the ones who are watching us for the first time, this is a project that aspires to create the first Trans-Continental Networking Academy to support both African and European digital innovation hubs in capacity building projects, knowledge sharing, networking, collaboration, venture development, etc. And this project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program, and it's being implemented since February 2021. And we will reach its end in January 2024. It also involves 4 partners from Africa and 7 partners from Europe, which I'm sure you already had the opportunity to meet in previous episodes. And episodes of what? Of digital innovation, of course, that is the theme of our AfriConEU Vidcast Series. For the ones who are wondering what a vidcast is, it is simply a podcast that contains video content. And this series actually includes 12 monthly episodes that started in April of last year and will come to an end already in March 2023. Each episode explores a different topic related to EU African digital innovation hubs and startup ecosystems. And the topic of our episode for today, and you already know it, it's the role of cooperatives in empowering smallholder farmers in Africa. And for this, I have the honor to introduce you to our guest for today, Lawrence Afere, that is doing an amazing job at Springboard, Nigeria, and that we had the pleasure also to have as a speaker at our brokerage event back in November. So welcome, Lawrence. Please tell us more about you and Springboard, Nigeria. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Thank you so much. My name is Lawrence Afere. I am a farmer, firstly, and then I run a cooperative of small-scale farmers in Nigeria. My farmers grow cacao, plantain, and other crops. And then the main idea of our cooperative is to help farmers to benefit much more from the agri-value chain. And we've been doing this since 2007. And currently, we have over 5,000 farmers who are members of our cooperative in Nigeria.
Wow, that's amazing. I think our followers are also very excited with your project because in the last few weeks, we got in touch with our community and we collected some interesting questions for you. So let's see what the audience wants to know. To kick off this interview, first question, what is the role of cooperatives in empowering smallholder farmers in Africa?
Thank you very much, Anna, for that great question. What is the role of cooperatives in empowering smallholder farmers in Nigeria? I think the first thing we should look at is what is a cooperative or what does cooperative mean? You know, a cooperative is a kind of autonomous association of people coming together voluntarily to actually meet their common economic, social, and cultural needs, and of course, aspirations. So, to democratically controlled enterprise. So it's important to note that cooperatives are present in all countries and in almost all the sectors, including agriculture, food, finance, etc. So the agricultural cooperatives are actually considered as one of the important economic and social organizations in rural communities where we also belong. So they play very important roles in agricultural development by providing the farmers with production inputs such as fertilizers, seeds, other chemical substances, training, financial support, and so on. And then it's very important to note that cooperatives help build sustainable communities in rural areas. The role of cooperatives in agricultural development is very numerous. We can continue to mention, but more importantly, it's bringing these farmers together to help them to benefit much more from the agri value chain. You look at creating market opportunities for them. You look at these farmers coming together to pool resources together to access farm inputs at lower prices. And then more opportunities also mean better economic development and rural farmers' welfare. So the opportunities and the roles are so much. Maybe as we go in the vidcast, we can talk more about this. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree, Lawrence. So specifically, in your opinion, how the cooperatives also help the smallholder farmers to improve their livelihoods and income?
We should know that it's very powerful and impactful when farmers come together as business partners. When they come together to form a cooperative, it means that they're coming together as business partners to enhance their livelihoods, and that's very powerful and impactful. And so cooperatives are increasingly advocated as a means to improve incomes for these farmers and for their members, improve their livelihoods and sustainability of smallholder farmers. So the main goal of a farmers cooperative is to actually cater for the need and prosperity of its members and their farmers. And then when you belong to a farmers cooperative, you receive many, many benefits that guarantee the improvement of your livelihoods and income. And I have some practical examples that I can share. Farmers produce, that is their crops, they're aggregated and sold in bulk for higher price, compared to when one farmer produces corn and then he takes that to the market himself. So when cooperative brings or aggregate all this produce together, they can actually negotiate for better price, for premium. And so this is sold in bulk, and then it means that the farmers make more money. And sometimes this also comes with premium, because when farmers work together, bring their goods together and produce, they can access bigger markets that guarantees premium for them. So this helps each farmer to benefit much more compared to when he sells his produce as a single farmer. And then, there are some farmers cooperatives that also train and support their members, to diversify their income. For example, my cacao farmers cooperative here in Nigeria that I own in Nigeria, it is very compulsory for our members to grow other crops, such as plantain and vegetables. As a member of Springboard Farmers Cooperative, you should not only depend on one crop, you must diversify. You see some of our farmers growing edible insects, growing banana and plantain, apart from the cacao that they do. So when they do this, they have access to income year round compared to cacao farming that is just seasonal. And then another example is farmers cooperative provides financial support to their members in form of soft loan with no collateral or little collateral. And farmers that take loan mostly pay back the loan with farm produce, so they don't pay cash. So when our farmers take loan from the cooperative, we don't ask them to pay back in cash. When it's time to harvest their produce, they can pay with their produce because the cooperative knows that it's going to sell, and that makes easy for farmers to pay back. And then financial management skill, which is very important for improving the livelihoods of these farmers. It's very important for farmers to have that skill as well. So the cooperative ensures that farmers receive these trainings and they are trained on how to manage their finance. And then I can also mention that access to inputs and farm resources is guaranteed for all members of the farmers cooperatives, and all of these put together, can help farmers to boost their livelihoods. And these are very practical examples.
Wow, Lawrence, I'm actually impressed with how complete your response is, because it's amazing that you do all this just in, let's say, one place, just within the cooperative.
Exactly.
Are you able to give us an example of a successful cooperative in Africa that has helped smallholder farmers? You already mentioned your project in Nigeria. Do you want to mention any others that you think are worth it?
Oh yeah, oh yes, of course. I know a lot of cooperatives in Africa that have been very successful. A particular one, which is a farmers cooperative, is Cafe in Uganda, and then Cafe is short for National Union of Coffee, Agribusiness and Farm Enterprises. and it's a Uganda-based cooperative that helps coffee farmers benefit much more from the coffee value chain in Uganda. In fact, its membership is currently over 200,000 farmers, coffee farmers, and they have, yes, benefiting over 1 million individual household members. They give all kinds of support to their members, and then they offtake the coffee, and then they process and package in Uganda, and they ship all over the world. So it's a very successful cooperative in Uganda. There's another one that I know in DR Congo. So Paddy is a coffee farmers as well, with over 6,000 coffee farmers, and the cooperative provides services and support that help move coffee farmers in DR Congo along the value chain so that they can benefit much more. So there are a lot of cooperatives across Africa that are doing significantly great in their fields and helping farmers to benefit much more from the agri value chain and improve their livelihoods. So there is a lot that we can mention.
And congratulations to you for that, because it's really amazing.
Thank you, Anna.
So next question: how do cooperatives help smallholder farmers to access markets and sell their products? I think you already touched a little bit on that in the previous question, but if you want to complement.
Yeah, I think that's a very great question, Hannah, because the number one, well, I think one of the biggest tasks of a farmers cooperative is to actually create market for its members' produce and products. Not just a market, but fair premium market. What ties or brings farmers together in a cooperative is the produce that they grow. You understand? They want to see that this produce bring much more income to them. So every farmers cooperative has a management staff that is charged with the responsibility of selling the cooperative produce and products at good prices. For example, in my cooperative in Nigeria, we are constantly looking for better markets for our cacao beans. 2 years ago, we were able to access a very good international market for our beans to be shipped to Europe at fair prices and also receive premium in return. And this has greatly benefited our members and our farmers. So cooperatives' main role is to ensure that farmers are able to access good markets and sell their produce. So you can't leave that out as well.
And do you also support smallholder farmers to access credit and other financial services?
Yeah, definitely. In different ways, we help our farmers to access credit and other financial services. For example, group lending from the bank. It's easier for a group of farmers who work together as business partners or farmers organization to go to the bank than one person, one farmer going to the bank. You understand? So a group of farmers will serve as collateral for themselves and guarantors, or they can guarantee their own credit. You understand? So it's very easy for them to get loans. So we do that a lot. We go to the bank and say, okay, please, can you lend money to our cooperative? And when banks see us and they see the value that we generate in terms of revenue gotten from our produce, they know that we're into business and we mean business. And that's one. And then cooperative also guarantees members lending at the bank. Maybe a member needs some money that the cooperative cannot give or provide. We can ask the member to go to the bank, and then we serve as guarantor. We guarantee that loan. We tell the bank, okay, in case our member defaults, the cooperative is ready to pay. You understand? So that makes it easy for the member to get access or to access credit. And then also, members can also lend within the cooperative. Within the cooperative, you can also borrow money. The cooperative has savings. We have a pool of money that we keep for emergencies, such as borrowing money to our members to pay the children's school fees and do other things. So there's a lot. When farmers belong to farmers cooperative, you have access to credit and financial services that you could not get when you operate outside of a cooperative.
Well, actually, it seems easier than in some countries in Europe because here sometimes it's a lot of bureaucracy. I'm happy to hear that when the bank sees the value in what you are doing, it's quite easy, let's say, for you to do it and to actually impact your local areas.
Yeah.
Regarding, well, do you support your smallholder farmers to improve also their agricultural practices and, well, teach them means of increase their productivity?
Yes, of course, we do that in a number of ways.
Mhm.
And I think I will start with training. You know, when the success of um, each farmer within the cooperative means the success of the cooperative. When all the farmers within our cooperative are very successful in productivity, in their agricultural practices, it means that the cooperative is also succeeding. You know, the cooperative is a business that is accountable to its members. So we find ways to actually help our farmers to succeed. And some of the ways we do that is number one, we provide free training on best agricultural practices, record keeping, and then we ensure that our farmers learn to take their farming as a business, okay, not as subsistence farming, not as a farm that feeds only the family, but this is a business that you can actually pass on to generations and generations. So we train them on how they can take their farming as a business. And also financial management, I mentioned the other time, very important. We also provide training on that. So we also help our farmers to access farm inputs that are loaned to members at reduced costs. There are some of our farmers that are not able to buy some of these inputs, for example, machineries and all of that equipment. So we provide loan services, loan this equipment to the farmers at very reduced cost. And then there's other way that we also help our farmers to improve their agricultural practices and productivity. We have this thing that is called the joint task on the farm. It means that there are farmers coming together to actually go to a member's farm to help the farmer to weed the farm, to help the farmer to spray the crops, to harvest, and then to weed and all of that. We have different gangs. We have the spraying gangs. So when it's time for farmer A to spray insecticides or organic manure, the spraying gang goes to the farmer A's farm and does that. Okay, if the farmer does not belong to the cooperative, he would go out to hire labor at very big price or cost. But now that he belongs to the cooperative does that for him. When it's time for farmer B to harvest his own crop, the harvest gang goes to the farm and helps. Okay, and that makes his work very easy. So the farmer does not need to spend money on labor because the farmer cannot afford that. So the cooperative provides various farm service groups within the farmers cooperative, and this actually helps to improve their agricultural practices and of course productivity. We also have free extension services as well. You know, the training we have given to you, we also ensure that there is follow-up. The extension officers go to your farm from time to time and see if you are putting to use or practice what you have learned from the cooperative in terms of training, and so they help you out when there are challenges. So these are various ways that we help our farmers to maximize their productivity on the farm.
Wow, I'm loving this conversation. I know that we are running out of time, but I really want to make these two last questions, especially the next one, because we are facing, unfortunately, many challenges in terms of sustainability. So, how do cooperatives help smallholder farmers to adapt to climate change?
Well, the issue of climate change is that's a very good question, and in fact, we've been talking about that in our cooperative in the recent time. How a lot of our farmers are battling the impact of climate change, and I can say that the impact of climate change remain a very serious threat to farmers across Africa. The climate risks range from intense droughts to unpredictable rain patterns, and their impacts are very problematic, including increased incidence of pest and diseases and post-harvest losses. But nevertheless, rural farmers organizations, which are also called cooperatives, are also can play a key role in building farmers' resilience to climate change. For example, we offer great platforms for trainings on climate smart practices that I just mentioned. When we want to help our farmers, we provide trainings on climate change. We help them to understand that the climate is really changing and that you need to adapt. We bring in experts to help us do that. And also through the extension officers of our cooperative who are well trained and versed in crop management and climate adaptation, the knowledge can be spread to many farmers. And then through those farmers, they can train others. So, and also additionally, through services like collective bulking, aggregation of produce, processing, marketing, which cooperatives offer to their members, farmers can earn more profit from their crops, thus increasing their ability to make more money to actually invest in climate smart practices. In fact, some farmers are already talking about what they call it, solar power, solar panel, inverter, and all of that. When they make more money, they can actually buy that because sometimes the cooperative cannot invest immediately with that. So cooperatives also offer increased access to genuine agro inputs that help them to deal with or mitigate the impact of climate change. So these are ways that we help our farmers to combat and fight the impact of climate change.
I think it's very interesting the way that you use capacity building trainings to combat many threats. It's really amazing. Okay, so last question. How can international organizations and development partners support the development of cooperatives and the empowerment of smallholder farmers in Africa? I know this is a difficult question to answer.
Oh yeah, it's a difficult question, but believe me, Anna, this is a great question. And we've actually, as a cooperative, we've been trying to talk to international partners to come to our aid, not just our own cooperative, but other cooperatives. You know, many cooperatives in Africa do not operate as strong and professional enterprises. So they need support to enhance service delivery to their members and also improve their overall position in their respective value chain. So for these reasons, Farmers Cooperative will need support of the international organizations and development partners on trainings that will strengthen and professionalize these farmer organizations. And also certification, very important to know. When, for example, we aggregate the cacao beans of our farmers, by the time we want to take to Europe, we're asked to get some certifications and all of that. So it's pretty difficult to get some of these certifications. So international organizations or partners can come to our aid and then of course, we're not saying that they should reduce the standard of those certifications, but train us on how to get those certifications. If there are areas that we are not meeting those standards, they can put us through and also finance some of these certification processes. These are ways that you can help smallholder farmers in Africa and their cooperatives as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lawrence. I could be here for another 20 minutes, easy. But well, do you have any final comments that you would like to make?
Well, the final comment is that the future of agriculture in Africa belongs to cooperatives. You know, it's very powerful, like I mentioned in the beginning, when farmers come together to act as business partners. They can determine what happens in their field, in their agri-value chain. They can determine the prices, and nobody outside that sector will determine the price for them because they are pulling their resources and their produce together to say, this is how much we want to sell it. So it's so powerful a force when farmers come together and say, we are acting as one body and the world cannot resist it. And I think that's the future of agriculture on the continent. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Lawrence. I think it's the best way for us to finish this episode 9 of Digital Innovation Talks. So the AfriConEU Vidcast Series. Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also follow us on social media. We are everywhere, and stay up to date to the other AfriConEU activities. And stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Bye.
Bye.